Love. Some would say it took a backseat when the pandemic forced us apart. As a family-run and proudly Canadian-owned company, Charm Diamond Centers saw the need to bring us together with tales of love and created the Canadian Love Map podcast. Since then, we've shared hundreds of real, uplifting stories that prove love conquers all. So thank you for listening. We couldn't do it without you. And remember, love starts here. Don't you just love a good love story?
Love is like that. It's the light that is part of your life. It's unconditional.
There's something there for all of us. There's hope that we can get through this and find some joy in our lives.
He's always been the one.
Self-love is a love story too.
Those little sparks of joy are really important.
Imagine someone making your biggest dream come true.
It's important for people to understand that you're not alone.
Well, we love to be part of a Canadian love story.
The love story never ends.
Well, love is the most important thing.
Dating is hard. I'm not going to sit here and say that the dating isn't hard. It gets easier if you do the work, if you learn how to properly date. But it's hard, and it can be frustrating.
Hi, I'm Nancy Regan. This week on the Canadian Love Map podcast, we are serving up more modern dating insights. We know that love isn't a straight line, and every once in a while, it's normal to need a little course correction on the journey to finding a match. We're joined by Sean Aucoin, a male dating coach with the Book of Love Canada. It bears mentioning that for this conversation, we're focusing on the experience of dating and courtship from the perspective of Sean and his clients, who are men seeking relationships with women. But we think this episode has something for everyone. This is the Canadian Love Map.
My name is Sean Aucoin. I'm a male dating coach for the Book of Love Canada. I'm a male dating coach. I only work with males. I enjoy bringing people along on their journey and helping on their journey. And you know what? This whole journey is about finding your partner in the end. In order to find your partner, there's a lot of things that have to go about before that. And we have to, work on finding out what we're looking for. I hate to say that they're doing things wrong. Sometimes we just need a little guidance along the way. All of a sudden, I find myself in my early 30s, and it was very different from the way I'd left. And that's when I also realized myself that I need a bit of help. I was single for a long time, being out there, making mistakes and being out there and learning about dating and also, learning from other dating coaches as well, taking courses as well on dating and doing the work has helped me to actually being able to narrow down to one person that I want to date.
Sean says he never thought he'd find himself in this line of work, but maybe it was all the rom-coms in his formative years that set the stage, with one film in particular having a huge effect on his life.
I think I've always been interested in dating. There's no doubt. Honestly, one of my favorite movies is Hitch, and I still remember being younger, and I remember seeing Hitch for the first time and asking and saying to myself, what, do people actually do that? One of the things that I love about that movie, one of the things that I remember that he says, I think it's anywhere, anytime, and any man has got the ability to sweep any woman off their feet. They just need the right broom, and I love that. My favorite scene in that whole entire movie is when, Will Smith, he's with his client and they're in the cab or whatever, he's talking to her, and he goes, okay, now remember, when you're out with her tonight and you're wondering, does she like me? And you're wondering, what you got to do to make her like you. Remember, she said yes when she could have said no. She, got dressed and went out when she could have stayed home. So when you're out on that date tonight, it's not your job to try to make her like you. It's your job not to mess it up.
After the end of his marriage, Sean returned to dating. The experience, however, was completely different from the one he remembered from years before.
That world of dating was not the way I left it. When I was single in my 20s, dating apps didn't exist. I was at the time where if you met someone online, you know, and back then it wasn't on your phone with an app or anything like that. It was like you were actually at your computer. I think maybe eHarmony would have been maybe at that time like some of the first. You didn't want to admit to anyone that you met somebody online. It was like nobody ever did.
The game had changed and he needed to relearn how to play it. So he hit the books.
A friend of mine, he gave me this book, and the book was actually called How to Be a 3% Man by Corey Wayne. So I read this book and I was like, wow, this is interesting. And then I started to, you know, implement the things that he teaches. And after that, I just started reading. Just the way I am. I just started reading everything out there on dating. Any book I could get a hold of on dating, I started reading. And I started to implement a lot of those things and started to be, I guess, a successful dater, as you call it. I started getting success with dating. And eventually, you know, met someone. So that's when I really started wanting to actually share that with others. I found myself giving, you know, like people saying, you should talk to Sean about, you know, when someone was having like, you know, relationship or dating troubles. They'd say, you know, go talk to Sean. And I would, you know, tell them what, you know, everything that I studied and everything like that. And later on, people were like, yeah, you should, Sean, you should be a dating coach. And I'm saying like, well, what? No, that, you know, that even exists.
Before we learn about Sean's process, let's hear about the clients he works with.
A lot of the clients that do actually come to me are either they've been in a long-term relationship or a long-term marriage, and all of a sudden they find themselves later on single again, and the dating world is different than the way they left it. I have a lot of clients who are very successful. They've got businesses that they run, and they're very successful, but they spend so much of their life focused on that, and all of a sudden they come to me and they say, I'm now like in, you know, I don't know, mid-30s or however old they are, and they're like, I've got all these things and I've got this business and I'm successful, and I'm finally at the point where I am where I want to be, like, you know, financially or whatever, but now I'd like to share that with someone else. But I've never done the dating apps. I've never done this. I'm not used to this new world.
When Sean works with a client, the first step is to find out who they are and what they want.
I get clients who come in and they're really, really, really good people, and I can tell that they're a good person, and maybe they haven't had a lot of success with dating, and then we work together to, you know, figure out who they are really, you know, behind all of that and what they're looking for. I do have to say that if I get a hint of them coming to me because they want to learn how to pick up, I that's when I say, you know what, this is not the right relationship, because this is not what I'm about. I'm not here to teach pickup artistry. I'm here to teach you how to find your partner, because in the end, that's what it's all about. They got to be genuine. They got to be someone who's in it for the right reasons, and that's the bottom line. If they come to me and they're really they're wanting to find their partner, and maybe they just haven't had luck with dating, maybe they haven't been in the dating world for a while, but I find that they actually are genuine. I think that's the ideal person, because I can work with that. You know, I can show that. Just for example, I've had, you know, clients come in and you know, they say I had a really hard time. I can't get a date, and they're like, I've tried the dating apps, but I never get any matches. And I say, okay, show me your profile for a second. And then I look at their profile and, you know, I say, well, you know what, you've got the same outfit in every picture, and these are all selfies. Like, yeah, no, okay, there's a reason here. That's what I mean about peel back the layers. A lot of times, you know, a client will come to me, and my first thing I do is I try to get to know them. So I start peeling back the layers, and then you figure out that, like, oh no, this person is a really good, genuine, good person, and they want to meet their partner. They just need a bit of help to be pointed in the right direction. And sometimes it's just something. I mean, I had one client where it was just something as simple as that. As like, I helped him change his online profile, and next thing you know, a year later, I get an email saying, hey, I'm dating someone now and I'm really happy and I think I've met my match and thank you so much for what all the help that you did, right? And those are the stories that I love. And that's when you get reminded of, this is why I do what I do. Like anything we do, in order to get better at it, we need to learn about it. And there is a method to dating. And for one of the things is that if we go in the dating world and we actually, like, if we don't know what we're looking for, we're just going to keep on flailing. So when men come to me, I first start working with them on figuring out what they want and what they're looking for. Females tend to lead with their emotions. Where men, it's not so much like that.
One of the last pieces of advice Sean gives his clients before they head out on a date is to manage their expectations and to remember that, like anything else, the more you practice, the better you'll be on those dates.
Sometimes, for example, we meet someone online and there's been some good back and forth texting, and then we go on that date with high expectations because we think that we've already connected with this person, and then we meet them face to face and we realize that there's no connection. I've heard that story a lot, and I remember being in the dating world and feeling that way as well. So I always say to go in with no expectations. When you're going on a date, look at it as you are going in to meet someone. We're going to have a drink with someone and meet someone, and you know what? If there's some sort of romantic connection, great. If not, hey, maybe you've met a friend. What we have to realize here is that connection and compatibility is very hard to find. So go in with low expectations of knowing that chances are we're not going to have a connection, we're not going to be compatible. Mark Manson gives the matrix of connection, compatibility, and he talks in his book called Models. He talks about how hard it is for connection and compatibility, and you only ever get that, a couple of times in your life. So to go in with low expectations, I think it is better. And then you never know. All of a sudden, when you do get that person, and it's, we know that it's real. Practice is definitely important in dating because it's like anything, the more we do it, the better we get at it. We also got to know what we're doing too. I know that there are some people out there who will disagree with dating multiple people. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that we should communicate that early on enough that maybe have the conversation with them saying, you know what? I'm trying to meet my match, and so I am talking and dating multiple people and I think that's a conversation that people have to have, right? By practicing dating and going on dates with multiple people, we get better at asking questions that are based on what we're looking for, right? And remember, when we're dating, we're looking to find that person who is good for us. So we're not necessarily trying to, I hear it all the time, people go on a date and it's like an interview. Dating should be fun. When we go on a date, it should not feel like an interview. It should feel like we're going out and we're going to have a conversation with someone and we're going to meet them, we're going to go for drinks, and we're going to try to see if that person is a good fit for us. Do they like the same things as us? Do we have the same values and goals? Dating when you're older is a lot different than, in your 20s. You're at a different point of your life. Right? At that point, you're more looking for someone who is aligned with your values and your goals, and learning to ask those right questions. So that's why I think it's important to practice dating, because the more dates we go on, the better we get at it. So if we learn how to date and we learn what to do, because the last thing we want is that maybe this person is a good suit for us and we would be a really good match, but because we went on that date and we didn't plan the date, we didn't do those right steps and the etiquette, well, we just turned them off, and and we let a good person go by. That's why I find it's important to teach you how to date and how to be on a date, so that when you actually get on a date with that person who's the right match for you, all those little things Opening doors and making a reservation and standing on the side of the road, those things are secondary at that point. So then we actually go on a date and we're actually talking about the things that matter, and we're looking to see if these people align with us, right? That's not the little things that are going to turn them off, because that's second nature to us. We just do it. It's the way we do. So they have the basics, and that's already, they've already got that, and then now they can get deeper.
We couldn't share the great stories that we do here on the Canadian Love Map podcast without the amazing support of Charm Diamond Centers. They are Canada's largest family-owned jeweler, and they're proud to be putting love on the map. The folks at Charm Diamond Centers are thrilled to be a part of your love story. So visit charmdiamondcenters.com or one of your local stores. Love starts here. Once a client is clear on who they are and what they're looking for, they're ready to tackle the dating world, but not before some last-minute tips.
I see clients or I hear about people where they go out and they try to make that great first impression, put that best foot forward, and essentially they're being someone that they're not. People ask me all the time, they're like, I'm going on a date tonight and give me some advice because I want to impress her. And the first thing I'll say to that is, be authentic, be yourself. It's not your job to try to impress her, right? You want to show her who you really are, and you want her to fall for you, and because she's the right fit for you. Be authentic, be yourself. We're not trying to fool anyone here. For example, here I see all the time, I see people and I look at their profile on their dating app, and I'm like, oh, cool, like, you surf? And they're like, no, I went once. Okay. Like attracts like. So we want to show who we really are. So when you're making your dating profile, make sure that you are putting things that are actually a good picture of who you are, not who you want everybody else to think that you are. Okay, so you're putting out there because you think a girl's going to think that's cool, but she's going to go on a date with you, and then she's going to realize that, oh, you don't like doing that stuff. And what have you done there? You just wasted your time, her time. Never burn a bridge. And I'll give an example of this, is that you might go on a date with them and you might have thought that there was a really good connection and you enjoyed yourself on that date and you're excited and you thought things went well. And all of a sudden you get that text or phone call and that, or maybe you tried to get another date with them and they told you that they didn't feel a romantic connection. Thank them for their time. Okay, you move on, right? You never know when you're going to run into that person again. I've had situations where next thing you know, that person has reached out to me and said, it didn't work out on our date, but I have a friend who I think that would be a really good match for you. So, you know what? Why did they do that? Because I was a gentleman and I was nice to them and I didn't burn that bridge, right? You never know. Don't take rejections as them rejecting you. If you approach someone, you ask them on a date and they say no, they want to give you their number or whatever it is, don't take that as a rejection of you. They're not rejecting you. They're just rejecting something about you that is not a right fit for them. In that sense, I like the hockey analogy of, keep your stick on the ice. Just keep on going in that aspect, because eventually you will find someone that will not reject you and will love everything about you and see everything and about you as a good fit. You can't just wing it. This is a complete turnoff for any girl. And the guy looks at her and says, so where do you want to go? Well, you asked me out. It takes a second to grab the phone, make a reservation. Make a reservation. Chivalry's not dead. Opening doors, walking on the, when you're walking to wherever you're at and standing on the side of the street. Yeah, we kind of say those things, 1950s, but you know what? No, it's not dead. When I say have a plan, I mean, have a plan and follow through with your plan. But when we're talking dating, if you, text or call a girl and say, I'm going to meet you Thursday night, how about 7:00 here? And you meet there. Well, and then she says, yeah, great. Okay. Well, then maybe you find out, what area she lives in, so you can actually make a reservation to someplace that's close by that she can meet you. So then you make a reservation. You don't want to show up there and like, oh, well, we don't have any more seats available. Okay, well then what are we gonna do? And then you don't really know each other, and they gotta hop into a car and drive somewhere else. Like, no. Always, I always tell them that at the end, you know what? Make sure you walk them to their car. Make sure they made it home safe. Text me, make sure he made safe. So, that type of thing. And then, but those are just, little things, right? I think it's important because I do think that it's something that's been lost maybe a bit.
While on their respective journeys, Sean's clients are encouraged to touch base with their dating coach, to share successes and failures, but also to ask more questions.
I get asked, okay, so how many days before we sleep together? That's a common one. First thing that you ask is, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Why is it that I haven't had a date in so long? Is there really a secret behind this dating thing? And can you tell me maybe what I'm doing wrong? Or they ask, what do girls want? What are they looking for? That type of thing. I said it earlier that a lot of times they come to me and they've been wailing in the whole dating world, and then they're like, this is not working. However, guys sometimes they want a quick fix, so they just, what am I doing wrong? Where it's like, okay, well, it's gonna take more work than that. Common mistakes on a date that I see, talking too much and not listening enough. I've done this. You know what? In my earlier days, I've done this mistake where I've gone on a date, with a girl and felt like I needed to tell her my whole life story and tell her everything about me. Anyway, next thing you know, we've gone an entire date, and I leave the date and realize like, oh, I don't really know anything about her because I didn't listen. I didn't let her tell me about her. So don't forget to listen. You know what? It's a two-way street. We're learning about each other. So, let her talk. Another common mistake I see, and I say this a lot, treating her like she is your girlfriend before she's your actual girlfriend. And guys, like I said, are especially guilty of doing this because we're really into a girl. Happens all the time. We meet this girl that we're really into, and he goes on a couple of dates with her, and he's just so excited. And he might have been dating other people at the time, but he stops dating them, all those other people. He only focuses on that one girl, and all of a sudden he starts treating her like she's his girlfriend, but they've only been on a couple of dates. And all you did there was like really scare her away, and where she says, this is moving way too fast for me, right? Like you're already introduced me to like the very close people. No double dates before she's your actual girlfriend. That's what I tell clients, because that's what you do when you're serious, when you're exclusive with someone. I like how Eric Peterson, who's also another dating coach, says when it comes to dating, women are the choosers. Women are the choosers of who they want to be exclusive with. Men are the choosers later on and who they want to be with forever, in a sense. But in the beginning, when we're dating, chances are there's girls, probably dating multiple men, and your job is just go on dates and have fun. And don't start treating her like she's your girlfriend until she's your actual girlfriend. Remember, we're dating to find an intellectual connection and to find our person, right? If we look at other things that I've learned through all of the readings and stuff, is that it's one thing to do that and plan a great date, and there's aspects of when to ask for another date and when to call after a date. There's all those things, but there's also the aspect of the courting never ends, and that's another thing that I try to teach males too. It doesn't matter if it's your first date or you've been married for 30 years. You should still, be planning dates 30 years later and doing the same thing, making a plan. We're going to go out this night, get dressed up. I've got dinner reservations here, and I'm going to drive you there, open your door, all those different things. Because you know what, like you'll hear, Corey Wayne says it in his book. He says, most of the time, when guys end up getting divorced, the woman's made her decision a long time ago that she was going to leave, and the guy's, caught holding the bag saying what happened. The courting stopped and they got complacent. So it's trying to teach them not to be complacent. Dating is hard. I'm not going to sit here and say that the dating isn't hard. It gets easier if you do the work, if you learn how to properly date. But it's hard, and it can be frustrating. The objective is they're looking for their partner. That's always the same. The objective is always that they're looking to find that partner.
In the dating world, we often hear the term soulmate, but Sean coaches his clients to see dating as a world of opportunity with more than one right answer.
You know what? There was a point in my life where I thought that there were soulmates. Maybe I watched too many rom-coms as a kid, but I gotta say that now, knowing everything that I know, I don't think that there's actual soulmates. I think that there are many people out there who could be great partners. And I don't think that we have one sole person who was our soulmate, that, that's the person we are destined to be with. I don't think that. I think that there are many people out there who will be great partners. I also think sometimes that maybe we've met someone in the past who would have been a great partner, but it just wasn't the right time.
Before we wrap up this Insights episode, I'll hand it over to Sean one last time to tell us what success looks like for a dating coach and to offer some final words of advice for daters out there.
As a dating coach, success for me is being able to look at someone when they first come in and when they first start working with me, and then looking at them when they leave, knowing or hoping that you've had a positive impact and that you helped them along the way. Like I said, I'm here to help people along their journey of finding their partner. And that doesn't always happen. It's not always that someone's going to text you like, hey, guess what? It happens with dating coaches more often than something else. I think that in the world of, for example, with teaching and coaching and other things, I always say that the hardest part of being a teacher is that you never see the final product. It just happens later on. As a dating coach, same type of thing, except it does happen more often that they'll actually reach out to you because you were more working one-on-one with them. But I mean, those are, for me, that is success, is knowing that I was able to help someone along their journey. I know it can be tough at times, and sometimes you just want to put your hands up and give up. But be authentic, be yourself. There's someone out there for everyone. And it just sometimes it takes longer, than others. But if you do the work and you come see a dating coach and you do the work with them, and sooner or later you catch that path. Nobody wants to go through this world alone. Mostly they want to experience life with someone else.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Canadian Love Map Insights. We'll be back next week with more love.